Hey fellow mini truckers, how y'all doing? My name is Joey. A lot of my friends call me Slinky, and you can as well. I wanted to make a quick video to show y'all what's been done to my OBS in detail. Now without further ado, here it is. But first, this is what my truck used to look like back in '95 when my parents first bought it as a 1-year-old used truck when I was 7. And this is what it looks like now that it's bagged and bodied on 26-inch Asante wheels. For the front, I'm running a 26x9 with a 2-inch lip. The tires are a 275 25/26, and as you can tell, it's close to the hood. According to all of my measurements, I will not have to cut the outer skin of the hood, but I will have to modify the reinforcements. I'm currently running a 14-inch drilled and slotted 6-piston caliper brake setup from Willwood. The front suspension is infamous upper and lower control arms that have been narrowed about 1 inch per side. I'm currently running Moog Problem Solver ball joints top and bottom. The upper ball joints max out at full lift, so I'm limited to 12 inches of travel at the moment. Eventually I'm going to change them out to a uniball setup. Also, because I'm running 26s, to get all the camber correct, I did raised upper control arm mounts. Now these raise this bolt 1 inch higher than it was from the factory. So when you lay it out, it doesn't camber in as bad. So it doesn't look like it's broken. Now I'm also running Beltec 2-inch drop spindles, an infamous bump steer kit with a custom drop down bracket to get the correct geometry. And of course, being I'm so low, I had to notch the frame rail for the tie rod clearance. The stock floor body drop is done by using a hand fabricated 3/4 frame. What that means is from the firewall back, it uses 2x4 square tubing. From the firewall forward, it uses a factory frame section. This one is Z'd, which lowers the body mounts as low as possible while still maintaining the correct height and travel from your suspension, so you don't have to make it work as hard to get the lift you need to be able to drive it. Now the steering is a majority factory setup with the exception of the bump steer kit and the shaft. Now, in order to connect the steering column to the steering box on a body dropped OBS with a Z frame, you have to fabricate this shaft. Now it's not my final setup because as you can see here, the column sticks out way too far and the geometry is off. So it causes it to be really tight to the suspension. Now once I get the correct steering column, I can redo all of the steering shaft and make everything clear a lot better. The firewall is fully shaved and tubbed. The center section is unmodified because I don't know what engine I'm going with. Once I figure out the engine size I want, then I can make all my cuts to the firewall as needed. One thing I did not shave is the wiper motor mount. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the wipers when the truck is done, but if I decide to shave it, I'm going to shave this as well. Now let's talk about this paint. I decided to push it outside so you can see what it looks like out in the sunlight. The yellow is a 1985 Ford color called Chrome Yellow. Originally, it did not come with any metallic flake at all, but I had some laying around, so why not? Gotta make it stand out in the sunlight, right? But I didn't want to go overboard because I wanted my roof to stand out. My roof is done in multiple sizes and shades of green metallic flake, along with a little bit of yellow and silver. I love the way it stands out, and it needs to be cut and buffed, but at least you can see what it looks like out in the sunlight. Now, one reason I did this is so people can be focused on my roof because of this. That's a Chevy bow tie shaped third brake light with molded in body line. I did this back in 2011 because I had it behind the glass and nobody could see it. So I wanted people to see it and make it stand out. So tell me what you think. Do you like the light? Do you like my flaked out roof? Drop a comment below and tell me. The rear suspension starts out with 26 by 10 inch rims with a 7-inch lip. The tires are 295 30 26, and because it's such a tall rim and tire combination, to fit within the bed sides, I had to narrow the rear end a total of 15 inches. Now, I don't have my rear brakes yet, but once I do get them installed, it's going to push the rims out a little bit. But as you can tell, it is super tight to the frame rails. Now, to keep everything centered side to side and front to back, I decided to do a triangulated 4-link. The lower bars are mounted as wide as I possibly can get them while still keeping enough clearance for the bags. The bags are mounted to the center, which gives a 2-to-1 ratio, and in this particular case gives me about 15 inches of travel. The upper bars are mounted as wide as I can get them on the axle and narrows up to the frame rail as much as possible while still keeping enough clearance for the drive shaft. The upper bag mounts are actually front bag cups that I decided to weld back here because it gives me what I like to call a floating bag design. I love the way it looks, so tell me what you think. Do you like them? Now you see all this round tube I added. Not only is it cosmetic, but it is serving a very strategic purpose. Every bar and every placement has a specific reason. I wanted to distribute the load as much as possible to relieve as much stress as I can off of every joint. As you can see here, I also did a floating design on the lower bar frame side mount. This way it matches what I did on the bag mount. So the rear is where my gas tank and air tank is going to go, but I'm not sure how I'm going to set it up, which is why I just have a pipe tacked into place. I also did the double 45 bevels just to give it a little extra look instead of having a curved bar or straight 90 degrees. So this is what my truck used to look like back in 2018 before it tore it apart. It was lane frame on 24s, had Lamborghini doors, a forward tilt hood kit, and had a cat-eye conversion that I handmade in my driveway back in 2013 after a hit-and-run driver. I will be redoing the front end with new sheet metal parts this year after I get my suicide doors installed. Now, one thing I did not show y'all is I have no shocks at all in this truck. I'm currently doing the math to figure out what I'm gonna need, how much travel I'm gonna need, where I'm gonna mount everything, and what angles am I gonna mount the shocks at. Now the front, if you remember right, gets 12 inches of travel, and I'm gonna be getting more eventually. The rear, I get 15, but I have to keep in mind my air tank and gas tank placement. I have to be careful so I don't mess that up later on down the road and I have to redo the shock mounts. Now obviously, I have a long ways to go to complete this truck. So if you want to follow along, please subscribe to my channel. If you do, you're also going to see why my shop is in such a mess. I have a bunch of projects going on right now, and one of them is that yellow bed that you saw in the background. Spoiler alert, that's not for this truck. That's actually going to go on a 2004 Dodge Ram that I recently bought back after it was involved in an accident. The repair video of that truck will be coming soon, and that truck is going to be the Illicit Customs tow pig. Now, if you like what you just saw in this video, please give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to drop a comment below and tell me what you think about my truck, or if there's anything else that you would like to know in more detail. Until next time, don't give up on your dreams and keep on mini trucking.